It was raining in Seattle when my phone rang. I just finished a site inspection outside Tacoma, mud on my boots, blueprints under one arm, when the name lit up. Tommy, next door. I almost let it go to voicemail. Almost. Evan, Jesus, your house, man, it's on fire. I called 911, but it's static, then shouting. I think it started in the back. You need to get home. I didn't answer. Just stared at the phone for a second too long. Then I was in motion. I told my site manager I had to leave. Got in my rental car, drove like something was chasing me. I called Lena. Once, twice. Straight to voicemail. I told myself the signal was bad. Told myself she was fine. 2 hours later, I pulled onto my street in Portland. There were flashing lights, barricades, yellow tape. My house, or what was left of it, was a smoldering black frame barely standing against a gray sky. I killed the engine, but didn't get out right away. The front yard was soaked, hoses still running. A firefighter in full gear walked by carrying what looked like a melted toaster. I stepped out, and a police officer met me halfway. Evan Harper? I nodded. We'll need to ask you a few questions. The air smelled like smoke and wet insulation. My legs moved, but everything else felt detached, like watching someone else's life unravel in real time. I looked for Lena, looked for her car. Nothing. They led me past the ruin that used to be my porch. Windows gone, roof collapsed in places. I'd built this house, not just paid for it, designed it, chose every detail, down to the floorboards. My voice was steadier than I expected when I asked, "Was anyone inside?" "No injuries reported," the officer said. "Fire started in the kitchen. No pets?" "No pets," I said quietly. I called Lena again. Voicemail. Texted her. "Where are you? House burned down. Call me now." The detective on site introduced himself. Fire Marshal nodded once. Both of them had the same look. Sympathetic, but cautious. The kind of look you give someone before asking if they own gasoline. "Any recent renovations?" the fire marshal asked, not looking up from his notepad. "Not in the last year," I said. "Just replaced the HVAC last spring." "And you were in Seattle all day?" I nodded. "Left yesterday, got in around 10. You can check the flight records." He wrote that down. The detective beside him stayed quiet, watching. I recognized that stare, calculating, looking for cracks. "What time did you last speak to your wife?" I pulled out my phone. "Yesterday afternoon. She was going to her yoga class. Said she'd meet a friend after." "Did she mention being home today?" "No," I said. "I assumed she had work. She does freelance marketing. Her schedule's flexible." They didn't say anything, just kept writing. Behind them, a man in a blazer too sharp for this kind of chaos was already walking the perimeter. Clipboard in hand, polished shoes stepping carefully through the mud. Not fire department, not police. "Who's that?" I asked. "Insurance investigator," the detective said. "Company dispatched him right away." "Already?" I asked. That was fast. He didn't answer. Lena showed up 20 minutes later, pulled up in her black SUV, hair pulled back tight, yoga mat still in the back seat. She ran toward the house, stopped short when she saw the caution tape. Her expression flickered. Shock, grief, something else I couldn't name. "Oh my God, Evan," she said, hugging me. Her arms were cold. "I was in class. I left my phone in the locker. What happened?" kitchen fire," I said. "No one knows how it started." She looked at the house like it was a stranger. "Everything's gone." The fire marshal came back. "We found gas cans in the garage," he said. "You usually store fuel." "No," I said. "I don't even mow my own lawn. We use electric tools." "And you're sure no one else had access to the property while you were gone?" I looked at Lena. She was wringing her hands now, looking everywhere but at me. "No," I said slowly. "Just my wife." I wasn't angry yet, just cold, hollow. Something wasn't right. I just didn't know yet how deep it would go. We stayed at a hotel that night. Lena said she couldn't bear to be in the neighborhood, couldn't stand the smell of smoke still clinging to our clothes. She cried in the car, head turned toward the window. I drove in silence. In the morning, she was calm again. Too calm. She wanted to go back to the house. Said she'd left her laptop in the car, thank God, and needed to check in with a client. I froze. The laptop. Why had it been in the car? She always worked from the kitchen, same spot every day, but there it was, tucked safely in her back seat, along with a few other things I hadn't noticed until now. A box of photo albums, her grandmother's jewelry case, a manila folder marked insurance documents. She told me it was all coincidence. She'd been planning to update her portfolio, said she brought the jewelry to get appraised, said the documents were for tax season. All logical, all rehearsed. The day stretched long. The smell of wet ash stayed in my nose even after a shower. I got a call from the insurance adjuster. He wanted to schedule a follow-up, asked me to confirm the policy update from 6 weeks ago. I had no idea what he was talking about. Later that night, I dug into our records, found the email chain. Lena had upped the coverage herself, increased the value of our home, added riders for artwork we didn't own. My name was CC'd on the emails, but I hadn't sent a single one. The language sounded off. I don't use words like fixtures and reimbursement clause. She'd used my email address once before, sent a message to her cousin from my account as a joke. I never thought anything of it. Now I wondered what else she'd done while wearing my voice. I sat in the dark hotel room while Lena slept beside me. Her breathing was steady, peaceful. Mine wasn't. A week ago, I thought I knew my wife. Now I wasn't sure I ever had. Detective Vargas called me 2 days later. "There's been a development," he said. "An anonymous tip came in this morning." "What kind of tip?" He cleared his throat. "That you've been having financial problems. The caller claimed you were behind on mortgage payments, maxed out credit cards. Said you'd mentioned needing a clean slate." It took me a second to respond. "That's not true," I said slowly. "We're still verifying," he added quickly. "Routine. But we also received notice of 2 short-term loans opened in your name. 5-figure deposits, both recent." My throat went dry. "I didn't take out any loans." "I figured as much. But if you can get your bank statements, we'll compare signatures and routing activity." I agreed, hung up, and stared at the wall. I knew who did this. That night, Lena came back from a walk with 2 lattes and a tired smile. "You look like you've seen a ghost," she said, handing me a cup. I told her about the loans, the tip, the police inquiry. She didn't blink, just furrowed her brow. "That's crazy. Who would say something like that?" Her hand was on my arm, soft and warm, like she was comforting a scared child. Her voice was light, concerned, but her eyes weren't. They were scanning me. I nodded and said nothing. She leaned in and kissed my cheek. "We'll get through this," she said. "I know this is hard." Her phone buzzed. She looked at it, turned it face down, and slid it across the table. Something in me clicked. This wasn't a crisis we were surviving together. This was a performance, and I wasn't the audience. I was the mark. I didn't go to the police. Not yet. There's a moment when you stop trying to believe someone and start quietly proving what you already know. Mine came on a Tuesday night while Lena was out getting drinks with a friend. I waited 15 minutes after she left, then walked 2 doors down. Tommy answered with a beer in one hand, dog barking behind him. "Man, thought you'd moved out," he said. "How are you holding up?" I asked him if his Ring doorbell had caught anything the night of the fire. He hesitated, then nodded. "I downloaded the footage for the cops. Still got the raw files, though. Want a copy?" 10 minutes later, I was watching our street on his laptop. At 3:12 p.m., smoke began curling from our kitchen window. At 3:15, Lena's SUV backed out of the driveway. Not before, after. She'd lied. Back at the hotel, I pulled out the family tablet. It was old, used mostly for Spotify playlists and recipes. Lena hadn't touched it in months. At least I thought she hadn't. I dug into the browser cache, the saved passwords. There it was, an account linked to an encrypted email service. Her name wasn't on it, but her writing style was. Short sentences, no punctuation. She'd been emailing someone named Cam Red. There was talk of quick work, flammables, and one message that read, "Need it done Friday after 3. Timing matters." I took screenshots, transferred everything to an encrypted drive. I was no longer wondering if she'd set the fire. I was figuring out how far she'd gone to bury me with it. She used her maiden name, not for nostalgia, for logistics. The account showed up when I checked a monthly financial aggregate app we'd once installed, but never used. I only logged in out of habit. Then I saw it. 2 bank accounts. One I knew, one I didn't. I traced the unknown one to an online-only institution, registered to Lena M. Colson, her name before we married. The activity was sparse but precise. Crypto deposits converted to fiat currency over 6 months. Liquidated in full 2 days before the fire. $82,400 transferred in 4 separate batches. I cross-referenced the withdrawal dates with our location history. She'd gone to a strip mall that week, twice, both times to the same prepaid cell kiosk. I checked her messages, nothing out of place. Burner. I drove to the mall, asked questions, showed a blurry photo of Lena holding our dog from years ago. Said I was tracking down a lost relative. The clerk remembered her. Yeah, paid cash, 2 phones, no ID required. It was all there, a pattern, precise and quiet. She hadn't panicked. She'd planned. Back at the hotel, she was already asleep, curled under blankets she didn't earn. I sat in the dark, watching the numbers scroll across my laptop screen. She didn't just want out. She wanted me erased. And if I hadn't come home early, she might have pulled it off. I scheduled a meeting with the insurance company under the pretense of clarity, said I was just trying to understand the process, asked polite questions, took notes, smiled when appropriate. The adjuster, a man named Rhodes, was friendly in that professional, mildly skeptical way. Thin tie, pen that clicked too much. We're still reviewing everything, he said. Some inconsistencies we're working through, but nothing conclusive yet. What kind of inconsistencies? I asked, leaning in slightly. Not accusatory, just curious. Well, he said, flipping through a file. For starters, the amended policy includes several items that weren't on the original declaration. High-value additions, mostly artwork. I frowned. What artwork? He rotated the page so I could see. 5 pieces, titles in French. 2 were allegedly hanging in your home office, he said. I work with structural beams and zoning maps, I said evenly. Not impressionist paintings. He blinked. So you've never seen any of these? Never even heard of them. He closed the folder slowly. Interesting. I let that word hang. I didn't press. Didn't show the flash drive in my pocket. I was collecting, not confronting. Outside, the sky was dark again. I sat in my car a long time before turning the key. Someone had gone through the trouble of inventing assets. That someone knew the claims would raise red flags, but only after the payout. Once the money had moved. Once the story had been sealed. She wasn't just burning the house. She was laundering the lie. It came on a Wednesday. Plain envelope, no return address. Official seal on the document inside. Notice of investigation, insurance fraud, and conspiracy to commit arson. I was listed as the primary suspect. There were attachments, photos of the fire scene, images of my signature on the amended policy, a timeline constructed from hotel keycard logs and flight itineraries. All of it designed to cast doubt. Lena had booked my flight to Seattle. She'd moved it up by a day, citing a scheduling mix-up in a casual text to me weeks earlier. I hadn't thought twice. The hotel reservation, too. She'd offered to handle it. My check-in now appeared a full day earlier than I'd actually arrived. According to their timeline, I had time to return to Portland, set the fire, and leave again. It was airtight. Except I hadn't done it. She sat across from me that night, drinking tea and asking if I'd heard from the police. I watched her closely, every blink, every breath. They're saying I'm being investigated, I said finally. Her spoon paused mid-stir. That's insane, she said. You were in Seattle. That's ridiculous. She didn't ask why I was being investigated. She already knew. I nodded once, said nothing else. In the mirror behind her, I saw my own face, calm, controlled. Very quietly, the war had begun. It started with a DM, nothing dramatic, just a name I hadn't seen in years and 4 words. We should talk. Marissa. She was one of Lena's oldest friends, college roommate, maid of honor, the type who used to call us disgustingly perfect. We hadn't spoken in almost a year. Lena had said they grew apart. I hadn't asked why. We met at a coffee shop off 18th, neutral ground. She was already there when I arrived, fidgeting with her sleeve. Thanks for coming, she said, voice low. What's this about? I asked. She pulled out her phone. I got this 3 nights ago, she said. Drunk voicemail from Lena. She didn't know she called me. Must have hit the wrong contact. She pressed play. Lena's voice crackled through the speaker. Fuzzy, slurred, laughing. He doesn't even see it coming. Cleanest break ever. Walk away with everything. Finally done cleaning up his messes. The message ended in static and a long sigh. I sat still. I didn't know what she meant at first, Marissa said. But then I saw the news, the fire. I figured it out. I asked her why she was telling me. Because this isn't the first time, she said quietly. Lena's always been like this. Everything is strategy. She cuts people out when they're inconvenient. She used me. I let it go. She looked at me. But this, what she did to you. I nodded once. She emailed me the message. I didn't ask for more, didn't push, just said thank you and left. That night, Lena asked if I wanted to watch something. I said I was tired. I lay awake listening to her breathe, her head resting against a pillow she hadn't earned. She thought she'd buried everything in the fire. She didn't realize what had survived. I cleared out a guest account on my laptop, set up a secure folder, gave it one name, Failsafe. Inside, I began to build it. Doorbell footage. Tommy had emailed me the raw file. I clipped the exact moment her car backed out of the driveway, 3 minutes after the first smoke appeared. GPS logs, pulled from Lena's car's infotainment history. Route showed her at the house at 3:09 p.m., leaving at 3:15. The system time-stamped every stop. She hadn't even bothered to wipe it. Email metadata, scraped from the tablet's browser, her account login on a proxy network, same day as her messages to Cam Red. I traced the IP, bounced from a VPN but the timestamps aligned. Voice messages, Marissa's file, cleaned and amplified. The phrases cleanest break ever and walk away with everything on loop. I transcribed it, documented it. Financial records, the Colson account activity, broken down month by month. Crypto movements, transfers, payout prep, all traceable. Insurance policy revisions, screenshots of emails, policy numbers, effective dates. The attachment Lena had added with artwork valuation certificates in a PDF that hadn't even embedded correctly. I didn't include my own statements. Not yet. This wasn't about convincing anyone with emotion. It was about the evidence speaking first. By midnight, the folder was ready. I duplicated it to a flash drive, stored one copy in a secure cloud vault, printed a hard summary, and put it in a sealed envelope. I didn't know yet how I would use it, but I knew I would. Because this wasn't about saving my name anymore. It was about ending hers, quietly, completely, and on my terms. I didn't text, didn't call, just sent one email. Subject: we need to talk. Body: I know everything. No punctuation, no explanation, just a fuse waiting to burn. Lena replied in under 3 minutes. Can you talk now? What are you talking about? I ignored it. Let her sit in it. We met at the hotel bar that night. I asked her to meet me there instead of the room. Public space. Easier to stay calm. Easier to record. I hit the voice memo button on my phone before she arrived. Tucked it face down in my jacket pocket. She showed up in black, always good at dressing the part. Concerned wife, eyes wide, voice soft. "What's going on, Evan?" she asked. "You're scaring me." I didn't answer. Just watched her. "You said you know everything. What does that mean?" "Why don't you tell me?" I said. Her mask cracked. Just a flicker, but I saw it. A blink too long. A breath too short. "I don't know what you think you found," she said finally. "But if you're upset, we can talk about it. Maybe there's a way to move forward. We don't have to ruin each other." "There's a voice message," I said. "You were drunk." said it would be the cleanest break ever. She froze. Marissa sent it to me, I added. She exhaled hard. No more pretending. What do you want? She asked. I don't want anything from you, I said. But I need you to understand, I'm not bluffing. She hesitated, then pulled out a folded envelope from her purse. I can transfer $60,000 to your name by Monday, she said. Clean, quiet. No lawyers. We say it was a mutual decision. We move on. I didn't touch the envelope. I just stood. Thanks for confirming, I said, and walked away. I met with the attorney the next morning, not some corporate suit. Her name was Adele Reyes, quiet reputation, ex-DOJ, now in private practice handling high-stakes personal litigation. Came recommended by someone who owed me a favor. I gave her the flash drive. Watch it all, I said. Then we'll talk. 2 hours later, she looked up from her laptop, expression unreadable. This isn't just arson, she said. This is premeditated financial fraud, identity theft, falsified insurance claims. Hell, maybe even conspiracy. I nodded. Can we keep this quiet? We can keep it targeted, she said. That same afternoon, she filed for divorce on my behalf. Grounds: fraud, endangerment, and financial misconduct. The papers were served via courier. Lena texted once. You're overreacting. I didn't reply. While she scrambled, Adele made 3 quiet deliveries to the insurance company, a complete dossier including policy forgeries and contradictory statements. She flagged it as internal fraud, not just spousal. To the Portland PD evidence package including security footage and GPS logs. She marked it as background for an active arson investigation. To the IRS, a report on the Colson account and unreported crypto activity. Each one signed with Adele's letterhead. Each one documented, time-stamped, and sealed. We didn't call attention to it. We let the evidence speak and waited for the weight of the truth to do what flames couldn't. Burn everything down. It happened on a Thursday. Lena didn't show up for her arraignment hearing. Her attorney claimed she was running late. Traffic, maybe, but the judge wasn't buying it, and neither was I. She'd skipped town. The arrest happened that night in Medford, 2 hours from the California border. State troopers found her in a rented SUV, bags packed, passport in the glove box, one burner phone in her purse, another hidden in the lining of a suitcase. When they cuffed her, she didn't argue. Just lowered her head like she'd already known this was how it would end. By morning, every major agency had what they needed. The digital forensics team cracked the burner phones in less than a day. Inside, texts, voice memos, encrypted threads. One string stood out. Cam read, "You sure it'll look accidental?" Lena. Kitchen. Afternoon. I'll leave the back door unlocked. Cam read, "Half up front, rest after." Lena. Fine. Just make sure it burns. No ambiguity, no gray area. Coordinated, calculated, contracted. They held her without bail. Flight risk, risk to others, risk to the truth. The press never picked it up. Adele made sure of that. She'd built the case so cleanly, so surgically, that the prosecution had no need for spectacle. I watched it unfold from a distance. No victory lap, no satisfaction. Just confirmation that I hadn't imagined it, that the fire hadn't taken me with it. that the match had always been in her hand. The insurance payout cleared 2 weeks later. Official finding: fraud committed by secondary policyholder. Primary policyholder absolved of wrongdoing. A clean sentence. One that felt like an exhale I hadn't taken in months. The deposit hit my account on a Tuesday. I didn't tell anyone, just packed what little I had left. A few clothes, my laptop, the flash drive I hadn't needed to use. By Friday, I was gone. New city, new state. No announcement. Just a quiet exit. I found a one-bedroom apartment near the coast. Brick walls, tall windows, space to think. I took a contract job with a firm that didn't ask questions. They liked my resume. I liked their silence. At night, I walked the streets without looking over my shoulder. No one knew my name. No one cared. It was perfect. I didn't change my number. I didn't need to. Lena wasn't calling. She had enough to answer for. I sat on the balcony one evening, watching the sky darken, drink in hand. Thought about the house, the ashes, what had been buried in the fire, and what had survived it. I hadn't just cleared my name. I'd reclaimed it, and I hadn't done it with revenge or rage. Just truth, precise, unavoidable. Lena had burned the house to erase me. All she did was make me impossible to forget. 6 months passed. The house I live in now isn't large. 2 bedrooms, a crooked front step. The kind of place realtors describe as charming with potential. But the light in the mornings is soft. The air smells like pine. The walls don't echo anymore. It's mine. That's enough. Most days, I keep busy. Work is steady, consulting projects, structural reviews, enough to keep the lights on without dragging me into anyone else's chaos. The rest of my time goes somewhere different now. There's a small nonprofit downtown, run out of an old library. They help people, men and women, who've been wrongfully accused, set up, scapegoated. I volunteer there twice a week. Filing mostly. Reviewing case files, helping people document their version of the story before someone else writes it for them. The first time I walked through the door, they asked why I was there. I told them I understood what it felt like to be buried by someone else's lie. That was enough. I don't talk about Lena much. People ask sometimes. Friends who kept their distance during the mess, now circling back with cautious curiosity. I tell them it's over, that justice was served, that I'm moving on. That's not a lie. But it's not the whole truth either. The truth is quieter. She thought she burned everything I had, but all she did was show me what I didn't need anymore. The house. The image, the version of myself that kept shrinking to fit someone else's idea of a life. None of it made it through the fire. Only I did. Some days, when I walk the trails behind my neighborhood, I find myself looking back, not in regret, just in reflection. Not every story ends with fire, but some begin there. Some houses are meant to burn. Just make sure you don't go down with them. This story was brutal, but this story on the right-hand side is even more insane.